Today we are going to be canning blueberry pie filling. I recently picked up some fresh fruit from a local vendor. I got an entire 16 to 18 pound flat of cherries, and he also had blueberries, which I didn't even have on my radar, but then I realized I love blueberry pie. I haven't had it in forever. Let's can some. So I bought all the ones that he had. They are homegrown, hand-picked, and I just took a couple photos there because that day was super busy. I did not even have time to film any videos. So here the videos pick up once I've finished washing all of the blueberries, because they're gonna go in the fridge for just a couple days until I have time to can them. Here are the ingredients that we're using today: white sugar, clear gel, clean fresh blueberries, and lemon juice. Let's get started. So here I have my water bath canner set up with hot water and pint jars. We are going to measure out 3 quarts of berries, which equates to 12 cups. And we're just going to go through them real quick and just make sure that there's no stems or leaves or anything left over. And I did a pretty good job when I was cleaning these, but every once in a while you might find one that's a little mushy or a stem that's left over. So just go ahead and sort those real quick. Here's the workstation. The first step that the recipe calls for is we're basically blanching the berries. So you want to submerge them in boiling water for 1 minute and then drain them and put the berries in a pot and cover them with a lid and basically hold them that way so that they're hot and covered with a lid until you're ready for the next step. And then you'll go ahead and repeat this for all the berries that you have. And I'm sure there are more efficient ways of doing this that are faster, but I'm using the tools that I have available to me now, and this is actually my first time canning blueberries. So it's all a learning process. Don't be afraid to just jump in there. And I did go ahead and convert the recipe into grams. I just find it so much easier and it's so much more precise to measure things by weight. So 118 grams of clear gel, 600 grams of sugar, and then you go ahead and stir those dry ingredients together. And then once they're stirred up, you'll add cool water and then you'll boil. So clear gel is actually a modified cornstarch that is safe for canning, because when you make a pie filling, you want it to thicken up. And if you use a regular cornstarch or flour, it can actually cause issues with density where the jar may not heat up all the way, especially in the middle. And so you want to make sure that what you are canning is safe. So clear gel is great for pie filling. It's safe. So once you've added that water, you'll heat the mixture, and you can see here it starts off kind of cloudy and it will clear up later on. So we're using 1/4 cup of lemon juice, and basically once that mixture has just reached a boil, then you'll add the lemon juice and you'll boil for 1 minute. And we add the lemon juice to bring up the acidity a little bit, again, just to make the mixture safe for canning. And you can see the mixture has cleared out here as that liquid has heated up and everything's gotten mixed together. And right after that 1 minute, you will quickly and carefully fold in the hot berries. Be careful not to splash on yourself because it's very hot. You'll mix everything together. And right here, oh yeah, the blueberries are very messy. So be aware of your space and be aware of your clothes. So I did this video here all in one shot so that you can see everything. We're just going to go ahead and pour out that water to displace that volume because it will be replaced with the berries and we don't want an overflowing pot. So pretty much as soon as those berries have been mixed into the clear gel and sugar solution, you want to go straight away to canning. So you want your water bath canner and your jars, everything set up in advance. So as soon as your berries are ready, they can go straight into the canner. And you can see here the scoopfuls are actually pretty full of berries, and I learned that berries float and there's actually a ton of liquid underneath. So my very first batch was slightly uneven, with some jars having more berries and some having more liquid. And you can see here that's the 1 inch mark. We're going to look for the headspace here. You want 1 inch of headspace for this recipe. So basically for the second round of canning that I did after this, I did make sure to get more even scoopfuls so that the fruit would be evenly distributed amongst all the jars. And again, this is a learning process. It's important sometimes to just jump in, and you can only read so much. You can only watch so many YouTube tutorials. At a certain point, you just have to jump in. And I promise everything makes more sense once you're actually doing everything hands-on. And here I almost forgot, you do want to make sure that you wipe the rim of the jar with either water or vinegar. It just depends on your preference and the recipe. Oily recipes, you definitely want to use vinegar. It helps cut that oil because you want a nice clean seal on the jar lid. So you'll put on the flat lid, you'll put on the ring, you'll tighten until finger tight, which is basically as tight as you can get it. Just with your fingers, you don't want to grab the jar and twist, that's too much. And then use the tongs to gently place the jar into the water bath canner. And here I had a little bit left, so I actually just put a little 1/2 pint jar in there to make sure that I used all of that filling. And here I turn the heat all the way up. I cover the pot with a lid to help the temperature get up to boiling, and then I process the jars for 30 minutes. And as you can see here, as I'm removing the jars, it's very messy because the mixture does expand as it gets hotter. And same thing, you just have to jump in there and go for it. For the second batch, I actually put the jars on paper towels instead of a rag. So here's after the second batch had been completed later in the day. And you can see here the lids have all indented. So these have all sealed. There was one jar here that did not. And you can see the difference because it's almost like a little button in the top. And this is what the lids look like right when they come out of the box. So everything else is nice and flat, and I heard them pop, but that one in the front did not seal. So you want to leave the jars, don't touch them for 12 to 24 hours. And you can see here when I push on the jar, and I can even pick up the jar just by the lid, and it holds the weight. So that jar is a little messy, but it's sealed perfectly. And this one, you can see it indents, and when I pick it up, the lid just pops right off. So this jar is still good to use, but you want to refrigerate it and use it within a couple days. Then you want to wash all of the jars with gentle soap and water, paying special attention to those threading rings. You want to make sure everything is nice and clean for shelf storage, and those rings can be washed and reused. So the rest of these jars are now shelf stable as long as the lids are continued to seal. They are good for 12 to 18 months in a dark, cool pantry. And you want to store them without the rings because the rings can hide a failed seal. If a seal fails, you want to just throw it away. This one that didn't seal, that's fine. We caught it early, put it in the fridge. Thank you for watching.